Okay, this is a 67 Bassman that I just restored. And like the two 66s I just did, I love, love, love these amps. It's almost, the preamp's almost entirely stock. The power section I changed to the previous version, the AA864. This AB165 AA864 hybrid is just the quietest and most reliable form this amp can take. You still have all the advantages of the AB165 preamp, but now I've got all the filter nodes corrected properly. They made a mistake in their initial layout in terms of decoupling a stage. Very low noise floor. The output stays much cleaner. And when it does break up, the transition to overdrive is much more musical. So I thought it'd be kind of odd and show a bass being played into a Bassman. So I've got into the bass channel, I've got the deep switch off, I've got the treble and bass a bit flat. Now I want you to hear it flat, and then I'll make an adjustment because in stock form, this amp has a fairly large 3 nanofarad cap across the 100K plate for its first triode, which rolls off a lot of highs. So I changed that from 3 nanofarad to 500 picofarad, and it gives the amp a lot more treble response when you want it. If I want this to sound like it would be stock, I turn the treble down to about 3. So as you can hear, it still does that darker sound if you want it to. But you can also set it to be brighter. You can set it to be quite bright. Though where the voicing is on this channel, rather than just brighter, you can hear it's a lot more upper mid, which is nice. Now this Stingray's got a 2-band active EQ, which I'm probably just going to leave flat on this. I might roll the treble off for just a second and roll this down and kind of palm mute to emulate the flats that would have been on a bass used with this in 1967, 68. Out of practice palm muting. On that note, let's turn on the deep circuit. So you notice you get more mids, but it also gives you a gain increase. So let me turn that down a little bit to compensate. And then everything flat again. So that channel is a lot of fun for bass. Now I'm going to go to the normal channel, also using it for bass, with the caveat that on this particular amp, I decreased the sizes of the cathode bypass caps on this channel so that guitar will not be as flubby. Now, the high pass is still set at about 33 hertz, so it still has the fundamental of the E. It's just not quite as full as the fundamental of the E on this channel is. For bass, for guitar, this will have plenty of fundamental an octave below that. I just didn't want to have the flub in there. And if you use this channel, you have all those beautiful early to mid 60s Fender cleans that you associate with the black panel amps. Has a lot of gain, as you can hear, so you gotta be careful with it. If you turn it up a little bit, though, you get kind of like a 50-watt SVT thing. You gotta use that, just a little bit of spice. On that note, this is not a bass cab. This is a guitar cab. This is my 2x12 I use for everything. The mic is about a foot in front of an ET65. In 1967, the Fender bass cabs were pretty much the same cabs that they use with guitar. You could get the 2x12 or the 2x15. One was Bassman, one was Showman. They're really interchangeable. It was only with the SVT cab and then what Alembic started doing in the early 70s, people started to get a concept of a bass amplifier cabinet. So this is open back, but other than that, it's very much like you might have heard in the studio in 1967, 68 when this amp was new. And you know, it's fine for doing bass through. And side note, the preamp in this right now is pretty much I decreased the cathodes on this one, but the cathode bypass caps, but this is pretty much the same preamp that you get in the Alembic FX1. If you have a Fender Super Reverb, Twin Reverb, et cetera, Showman, you've got an Alembic preamp there. It's just going to a different output section. I'm gonna go back to the normal, just 1 second, to show one of the characteristic sounds of this era Bassman. I'm going to turn the deep off and roll the treble down a bit. Roll the treble down on the guitar to emulate flats. And I'm going to use a pick, which I normally don't do on bass. Now, granted, this is a 57 foot away in a regular living room, as opposed to a U47 or U87 6 feet away in an actual studio. But turn it up a little bit. Haven't played that in too long, but you know, you have the right bass, and remember the entire part, this amp will do it. And you can do more modern stuff too. A lot of fun with this amp and bass. On that subject, this amp has got split personality disorder. Let me demonstrate. All right, so no settings are changed on the amp. I just changed out the bass for a Strat. So this is the bass channel of the amp, and a Strat sounds fantastic through it. Turn on the deep switch, you get a big mid-range emphasis. Turn the treble up, which is really upper mids on this channel. Roll back the volume on the guitar, you're back to that sweet clean. So that's the bass channel. Let's go to the normal channel, which is the guitar channel. And as I mentioned, I decreased the cathode bypass caps on this channel, which does not lose you any low end with the guitar. It just means that your bass stays tighter and you're not wasting energy on flubs, flubby lows. You know, you get a reverb or delay or tremolo pedal or all those things in front of this amp and it'll hang with that 66 super reverb I have over there. It does all that. So you have a great bass amp, three different voices, bass channel with deep on, and the normal channel for bass. The same thing for great 60s approved cleans with guitar. And there's one more really cool trick up this particular amp's sleeve. Okay, I didn't change any of the settings. That was a beautiful clean Strat sound I just had. All I did was put in this SG with these PAF style pickups. And all of a sudden you go from that beautiful clean to... You just back off on the volume on the amp, and even the PFs will be clean. But you turn that volume up a little bit, and all of a sudden it becomes a very different amp. And you turn it up a little bit more, and you know, this thing doesn't know that it's just a Fender. This thing has the exact amount of gain stages as a train wreck, as a train wreck. And so left to its own devices, but it's not just the guitar channel that does that. Let's do the same thing in the bass channel. Like I said, it doesn't know that it's a bass channel. So let's have that upper mids up just the slightest bit. If you turn the deep switch on, you get even more gain and that big mids increase. And this can get really big and full. And you can just do lots of big drum rock. Did you hear the sustain? Anyway, these things are just fantastic. I love these amps so much because you can do so much with just one. You could do an entire album with just this one amp. It does fantastic bass. It does fantastic cleans. It does fantastic overdrive. Big rock stuff, smooth rock stuff. A better player than me could probably get jazz out of it. You know, but you've got so much versatility in one amp. It's even more so if you do have a master volume installed. I beg of you, if you ever want to have a master put in one of these, do not drill a hole in this area of the panel. People do that. It's awful. There's a ground switch on the back of the amp, which is no longer needed once the amp has a proper safety ground. It's a great place to put a master volume as necessary, because a 50-watt amp for the overdrive stuff is really loud. But, you know, if you're not doing the overdrive and you just want some clean, you can also play this at Princeton levels. Fantastic, fantastic versatile amps. If it's all within your means, I highly recommend it. It's so choice.